Have you ever wondered how to spend your Bitcoin in Mexico? Today, I'm speaking with the founder of Swapido, Gustavo Flores, who has a solution. Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Our guest today is Gustavo Flores. He's the founder of Swapido, which is introducing a new solution for spending Bitcoin in Mexico. Gustavo, how's it going, man?
Hey Vance, it's going really well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're buddies. We've met each other in Mexico before. We've had a couple of beers on the balcony down in Navarte. And when we first met, Swapido did not exist yet. So this is something brand new that you're bringing to the market in Mexico. So you said, "Hey, can I come on the podcast and talk about Swapido?" And I'm happy to have you here to explain how this would work. So maybe you could kind of kick things off and explain kind of what the problem that you were solving is and what the solution you're bringing forth is.
Yes, well, that's thank you for the introduction. So the problem we're solving at Swapido is to make available for anyone, not just Mexican nationals, but really anyone, tourists, expats, permanent residents, temporary residents, to sell Bitcoin in Mexico. So when I first got to Mexico, I didn't have yet my residency. I was like a tourist, but I was becoming an expat. Uh, but I couldn't use any of the platforms as they required Mexican ID. With time I got the Mexican ID and it was fine. But there was a short period of time where I would have to do P2P deals, peer to peer deals. So Swapido just solves that. It allows anyone globally to send money to any bank account in Mexico. So you create an account, you verify your identity with your ID from anywhere except the United States, unfortunately. But we're working on that. And then once you've been verified, well, you can just send money to any bank account, and you pay with the Lightning Network. It's instantaneous, and you just receive the money to any bank account in Mexico.
Okay, great. So we can get some pesos. And are you what's kind of the plan? Are you going to have integrations for, I don't know, integrating with, I don't know, spending your rent or with Telcel or things like that, or how do you see the product kind of evolving over time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So yeah, that's definitely something that's gonna follow up. It's being able to pay any phone number, any debit card, and then to pay for any service such as phone refills, water, like electricity. Sorry. So really, any service, any bill payment you want to make, that will be possible in a few months. We also want to allow people to buy Bitcoin on our platform and use stable coins. So I know many people don't just use Bitcoin; they use other cryptos, and stable coins are the standard for transacting on other networks. So we're gonna add that as well. So that's the vision. With time, I want to add other countries to, really trying to solve here what I envision will be the next couple decades of people, spending their crypto. Right now, everybody's just saving up in Bitcoin and crypto, which makes sense. But at some point, more people will just need to spend it, right? So that's what we're here for. We're starting with Mexico, and we aim to bring it to most expats destinations in Latin America.
Cool. And walk me through again, kind of how it works. So let's just say I have some Bitcoin on my Coinbase or something, and I want to get pesos in my Mexican bank account in my Banco Azteca so that I can fund my life. And maybe actually Banco Azteca is pretty chill about crypto, but maybe some of the other banks, they might freeze my bank account if they see kind of money coming in that there's any whiff of it coming from crypto. So do you have, like, so how does that kind of work? Like, is the money going into my bank account or is it going somewhere else? And then how do you make, if it's going into my bank account, do you have a way to make it not look like crypto so they don't freeze the account?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's a common concern. Banks don't like crypto. We all know it. But what's good about the service is that we drew it to a partner that's called the Bitcoin Company, but they do it through a Brazilian entity that is non-crypto related. So it's just a money service business, traditional fintech. So when you get the money in your bank account in Mexico, it doesn't say anything regarding crypto, anything regarding Bitcoin. So the bank doesn't know. They just know a payment processor has sent money to you. And as long as it, if it just goes with your natural use of the account, well, no questions will be raised. Of course, if you send $1 million to an account that has never gotten over $1,000, then that's that's another question, right? But to answer to your previous questions, let's say you have Bitcoin in Coinbase and you want to send it to a bank account in Mexico. How do you do it? Well, on Coinbase right now, you can just go on withdraw the Bitcoin, and you're gonna find Lightning Network as an option. Which, for those that don't know it, the Lightning Network is just a way to send Bitcoin instantaneously and with no fees. Kind of like how with dollars you can send a bank transfer, but you can also use Mastercard network. So the Lightning Network is a payment network for the Bitcoin currency. So once you go on your Coinbase wallet, you select Lightning Network, then you go on Swapido, and once you have an approved account on Swapido, you put let's say 1,000 pesos. Then you put the account number, clave we call them in Mexico, and
Right.
the bank account holder's name, and you click on create order, and it will say here's a Lightning invoice to pay, and you go on your Coinbase wallet, you copy and paste that, you click send, and the transaction will happen instantly, and you will receive a notification from the bank account that the money's in.
Okay, so pretty straightforward. And Swapido makes this possible. And this was it never possible before, or maybe it was possible on Coinbase, but not everyone has their Bitcoin on Coinbase.
Well, yeah, I mean, on Coinbase, you can send to any Lightning Network wallet, right? So, but what Swapido does that's different is we combine the Lightning Network, the Spain network, so the bank transfer network in Mexico, which is also instantaneous, and the non custodial experience. So you send it directly from your wallet, and this all three of these pieces combined make it so that it's the best user experience. If you compare it to other existing solutions in Mexico, you usually have to deposit, and they don't have Lightning, so it's like an on-chain transaction that takes half an hour. Then you have to click on convert Bitcoin for pesos, and then you have to click on withdraw to a bank account. So instead of doing like 10 clicks and waiting half an hour, with Swapido, it's just one click. You send it directly from your wallet, and in seconds, it's in your bank account or anybody else's.
Okay, so I'll have a Swapido wallet.
No, so maybe I'll explain that part in more detail. So we're a non-custodial platform. So we don't take custody of your Bitcoin. Let's say you have it on your Bitcoin wallet, and you send, and once you create an order on Swapido, you pay the invoice, you pay the order from your wallet, your existing wallet that you use,
Uh huh.
and it immediately gets converted into pesos and sent to a bank account. So this is different from, let's say, Bitso or Coinbase, where these are platforms where that not only exchange the currency, but where you also store the currency. In our platform, it's non-custodial, so it goes directly from your wallet into a bank account. It immediately gets converted to pesos.
Okay. Okay, got it. By the way, you don't have to like grab the thing because it makes a bit of a noise when you do that.
Okay,
Um,
okay, sorry.
just like leave it where it is. So okay, so just so I understand, because I'm like not the most crypto friendly. I'm sure some of the audience realizes this by how dumb my questions are. But so in Mexico, what in a lot of places they don't accept credit card, but they'll say pago con efectivo o con transferencia, right? So it sounds like with Swapi though, maybe I can do pago con transferencia pretty fast via Swapido?
That's exactly right. So whatever, for people that don't know, almost every business in Mexico accepts transferencia, which is just bank transfer. So whenever they say that, you can go on your Swapido account, you enter the bank account number they give you and their name, and you enter the amount you're supposed to pay them, and then you create an order, and then once you have the Lightning invoice, which is just like a Bitcoin address, before the Lightning Network, you pay that from your wallet, and you just pay the restaurant or the coffee shop or whatever, or your rent, or a taxi ride. Really anything you can think of in Mexico. 95% of the time they accept transferencia, and you can pay directly with Swapido.
And it should be pretty fast?
It's really fast. Sometimes it takes more than 5 seconds, but it's usually under that, So for people that let's say have their Bitcoin in their wallet, it goes from your wallet to the recipient's bank account within 5 seconds.
And how much do I sort of lose on the transaction percentage wise?
Right. So that's like our total fee, or the total premium you pay over the exchange rate, is 2.8%. So that's the cut we take plus the cut, like the our partners take. So which might be a bit higher than other existing solutions, but for the speed and convenience, I think it's reasonable. And with time, we will make it so that fees are lower. But for now, I think this is a reasonable offer, that we have 2.8%, all included.
Okay, cool. And does it matter if the Bitcoin is in an exchange or in like a cold storage wallet?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, because if it's in your own custody, the transaction will go right away, right? You just will click send, and it will send. Sometimes when it's an exchange, exchanges have like a verification system where like your transaction gets queued, and then they will like verify it. So there might be some delay if you do it from an exchange. So it's better to do it from your own wallet.
Oh,
But I'm
wow.
sure this is at the end. This is our first product. With time, we'll make it so that we have the option to buy Bitcoin, maybe even custody, so that it's easier for anybody. But I think for those that already have crypto, Bitcoin, they know that this is the way that makes the most sense if you want to have the Bitcoin in your custody, so that you're the most safe, and you're taking the least amount of risk.
Right. So, what about, I guess, security and anonymity? Could you speak to that a little bit?
Well, that's a good question. Unfortunately, our product is nothing near anonymous. We have to comply with regulations in Mexico, which are weirdly pretty strict. Some would expect Mexico to be like a very free market, but it's not, at least not in terms of crypto transactions. So you have to provide us with an ID, and we have to verify your identity, and we have to follow the compliance required in Mexico, which is pretty standard. Most of at this point, any platform, any crypto platform, will ask for the same informations. And in terms of safety, I mean, this is the great part about us being non-custodial, is that there's no we're never in control of your funds. Your funds are either in your wallet or in the bank account that you want to pay. They're in our hands for like a few seconds, but doesn't take more than 2 seconds for the transaction to complete. So there's no security risk, very very little security risk, and for privacy, it's not a privacy product. It's just a standard regulated product.
Okay, cool. And is there any like transaction size limits? Could I literally buy a house with Swapido?
No, for now, you cannot buy a house. We're working on that. We think that for now, the limits are $3,000 per transaction, and $10,000 a month. And if you want to make more than that per month, we can do it. We just have to ask for a bit more information on your end. But the limit of $3,000 per transaction remains. I think this is good for like daily usage, paying rent, paying for things, not yet to buy houses, cars, but we believe over the next 6 months we're gonna make it possible for you to buy a car, to buy a house. Maybe a bit longer than that, 6 to 12 months, I would say. You should be able to buy anything with Bitcoin in Mexico.
Awesome. And I guess who's the technical team behind this, right? You got some fancy blockchain engineers, or how what's that? What's the team look like?
Yeah, I mean, I got a CTO. He'd rather stay anonymous for now. We'll see how it goes moving forward. But yeah, I mean, I am a pretty technical guy, but I do have a technical CTO co-founder. He's just a Bitcoin dev, an engineer, part of the industry, and I have some other guys helping me out with design and social media. But for now, it's mostly people helping me out. It's really just me for now, working on it, grinding on it all day long. And we hope that with time the team will increase and others will get involved in this full time.
Okay, so just you and the CTO.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. And is it already like up and running? Is it working?
Yeah, Swapido is full up and running. We launched past Thursday, which was the 10th of October. Everything is ready to be used. I'm wide open if people want to ask me questions about it or invite me to a podcast or just if people want help or advice on crypto, I'm always available to lend a hand on that as well. So yeah, we're open for business. We already had like 15 customers over the last couple of days. Most people are just trying out. They wanna time. It takes time to build trust, but we're
Right.
pretty confident that we'll get it.
Yeah, just buy a haircut first, and then kind of work your way up to the bigger transactions or something.
Exactly, that's right. And I mean, I've been there. I've tried platforms that I didn't trust too much as well at first, but I also I come up from a background. I'm not just coming out of nowhere. I used to do very similar business back in Canada. It was called Verify. You could buy and sell Bitcoin in Canada, and we had customers buying and selling for millions of dollars. So let's just say that this is not my first time. I've done this similar thing in Canada, so people can look up my past too.
Yeah, yeah, you've been in Bitcoin for a while in one way or another, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's basically what I live for.
And I got to ask because Bit Refill is a sponsor of the podcast. I guess this is kind of a competitor to Bit Refill. You're familiar with Bit Refill because our good friend Magic works with them. So I guess kind of is it competing in directly because Bit Refill can't do bank account transfers, right? They only do gift cards and things like that.
Right, that's exactly right. So I wouldn't say it's a direct competitor. I would say it's more of a complementary product. Like I myself, I use Bitrefill too. It depends on the use case, right? So if I'm gonna take an Uber. I could just buy a gift card on Bitrefill and that's it. I could also send it to a bank account and then pay with a credit card with Swapido, but you could just use Bitrefill. But let's say you're going to a restaurant that you want to pay with transferencia, you cannot pay with Bitrefill, but you can pay with Swapido. Let's say you want to pay your rent, same thing. So I guess it depends on the expense, on the use case.
Mhm.
Bitrefill is good for some, and I think Swapido is good for others.
Right. So the things that Bit Refill has might be easier or like less fees, I guess, to just get the Uber gift card directly, I guess. But for anything that
Yes,
can't be done on Bit Refill, as you mentioned, the rent, the small restaurant, the haircut, that's when Swapido comes in.
that's exactly right, and also for people that just want to send to other people. Let's say you're sending to a family member or your girlfriend. Well, Swapidos is better for that too.
Yeah.
Whenever you need to use the banking system, Swapido is good for that. If you're buying gift cards or phone refills, uh, Bitrefill is good for that too. So yeah, I think it's a complementary product rather than a direct competitor.
Okay, cool. So how much money do you transfer to your girlfriend per month?
No, I'm not quite there yet. But
I'm just,
I know some
I'm just
guys
messing.
that do quite a bit, and they might do it through Swapido.
Ooh, okay. Cool. And it's an app or is right? Is it mobile app?
It's a web application that is also called a progressive web app because you can add it to your home screen and it works as a native app,
Uh-huh.
but it's a web application.
Okay, cool. And are you gonna make a Android iOS app or just too expensive?
I mean, not yet. A lot of people think that that's like, oh, we gotta do that from the beginning. I'm rather of the belief that a web app is good for a while. Maybe a year, 2, 3 years after, we'll do a mobile app. But yes, I would say it's not a top priority for us. Adding other useful features for the app it comes first, and then we'll launch an iPhone Android app after after that.
Got it. And coming back to the regulatory side of things, so you actually had to basically engage with Mexican financial regulators. Did you have to get approval or anything, or how did that kind of work?
That's a good question. So I was in this process for a while. I was looking at how to do this because Mexican regulations are very, very hard. But I was lucky because I found this partner, a big company, which they have most of the licensing figured out. They have the banking, they have the licensing. So I just plug into their system and I
Mhm.
take on risk myself because I have to KYC, I have to verify the identity of my users, and I also have to do some filing to Mexican authorities. But I don't need any licensing, I don't need any banking yet. I have a partner to rely on that, which allowed me to launch this way earlier than I expected.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Crema Social. Crema Social is like TikTok for international dating. It's an app you can download right now on your phone, and 3 out of 4 people on Crema are single women. The app was founded in Colombia, so unsurprisingly, there are a lot of Latinas on the app, by the way. So, how does it work? Crema Social is a social meal experience where you invite a hot girl for a lunch date via video call and food delivery. New concept, so you'll have to try it out for yourself, but this is probably the best way to meet Latinas before you visit the country. So if you're in Latin America or planning to visit Latin America, download Crema Social now and start getting dates right away. There will be a link in the description to download or just search Crema Social on your favorite app store. Have fun, guys. This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Bit Refill. Bit Refill is the best way to spend your crypto in Latin America. Purchase gift cards or mobile refills from more than 3,500 brands in 186 countries instantly, safely, and privately. You can also apply the code MyLatinLife at checkout to get 10% back on your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information. This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Job Stacking. If you are a remote or hybrid worker looking to maximize your earning potential, then Rolf Holtze, the author of Job Stacking, guarantees you'll be able to double your income. This is the exact system Rolf has used to take his own income and those of many others beyond 20K a month. So what is job stacking? It's this idea of working multiple remote jobs. You might have heard Rolf, he's worked 5, 7, even 9 remote jobs at the same time before. And by the way, job stacking works equally well for non-technical roles. So no, it's not just for the nerds. So if you're ready to job stack, then book a discovery call with Job Stacking and see how they can double your income in just 9 weeks. In the show notes in the description, there will be a link where you can book a call directly on the Calendly of job stacking and be talking with them as early as tomorrow about how to double your income as quickly as possible.
Just to for a clarification for people that are curious, in Mexico, there's this thing called a fintech license, which is if you want to do a like full on crypto exchange in Mexico, that's what you need to get. And however, the process to get the fintech license takes about 2 years and like $100,000. So it's quite hard. But there's shortcuts such as the one I found where you can plug in to someone that already has the licenses, already has the banking relationships.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Definitely easier to get up and running. And do you think you're going to need to raise money like from venture capital firms at some point or?
I mean, I think that in this game it's kind of unavoidable not to, unless you're making money really fast, because it's a matter of speed, right? Whoever is the fastest, some usually wins. So yeah, I think at some point we might raise capital, but I'm not in a hurry. I want to do it right. I don't want to depend on anyone. I want to get customers first. A lot of people start with getting funding. I'd rather launch a product, get customers, prove that it works, and then get funding when I'm in a better position.
Yeah, yeah, definitely makes sense. And do you have any metrics in terms of how many customers you want to hit within, I don't know, by the end of 2024?
Yeah, well, let's say I would say that our preferred type of user, let's say, is like for the current product is someone that spends two, three, $4,000 a month in Mexico, maybe earns a living in crypto, or already has a lot of crypto stacked up, or is bringing money from another country, so he uses crypto to do that. Well, let's say that someone that spends $3,000, I think, let's say that type of user, I think there's hundreds of them in Mexico. So I think if we have over the next couple months 100 users like that, and a year from now, a couple more hundred users like that, maybe 500 users like that, plus in a year from now, we're able to launch a product to buy houses and big expenses. And if we have a couple transactions like that a month, I think that's kind of my goal. To be in a position where I have these two types of customers, big one and medium ones.
Because you're going to have to get the whales, right? Because if it's just 2.8% on even like 4 grand a month, that's not very much money, right? So you kind of need either like a, I don't know, like you need something else. You need like subscription fees or like a premium or something because that if they spend 4 grand a month every month, which would be like I imagine like a power user, you're only getting 112 bucks.
For sure. No, you need the wells. You totally got it. So I see you've done your quick math and you figured it out. You need the wells. This is a big lesson we had at our previous startup, Verify, where we understood that, usually, like I've worked at many exchange platforms, and usually it's about 50-50, maybe even 60-40, where like 50-60% of the money you make comes from the whales, and the 40% comes from uh, comes from just like power users, regular users. So yeah, you need both. That's for sure. So we launched this as a first step, and we're gonna add products that whales can use over the next year.
Okay, cool. Makes sense. And even if you had like really big transactions, 2.8% is still not that much, right? Like, aren't you going to have to introduce something else, like something else to monetize?
I mean, volume can go up pretty quickly. Like in Verify, the best months, like at Verify, we could have done so much more. We were just very small team, and we had some months with like 3 million in volume. So 2%, 3 million. So that's starting to be some decent money. You're starting to make like $60,000 a month. So I would say that it's to get into the millions of volume a month. It's not that hard, you know. Now, if you want to get into the tens of millions a month volume, hundreds, then that's way harder. But I think we can do something where at least we can pay ourselves, hire more people, and then grow from there. The subscription fee model, those other models, they're not very conventional. People that have tried them haven't really figured them out a lot. And one strategy we're gonna adopt, which we used in Canada, was to pay affiliates. So if you find affiliates, podcasts or platforms that recommend you, well, you can split the fees. And this can help you grow way faster.
You got a code for me, man? What's good?
We're working on that. We're working on that. But we got your name in our list. Don't worry about
Okay, cool. We were recording too early, bro. I need my code. No,
that.
no, it's good. I make like no money on affiliates. Okay, cool. Speaking of Canada, people probably don't know this about you, but you kind of grew up in Montreal, Canada, right?
That's exactly right. I came to Canada in 2005 when I was 8, and I left during COVID in 21. So yeah, I spent about 16 years in Canada.
I love how you gave the cutoff date too.
Yeah, that was it, man. 21. After that, I just couldn't handle it anymore.
Because what we're hearing isn't actually a Latino accent speaking English. It's like a Montreal accent speaking English, kind of.
I mean, yeah, in between. I would say I'm in between both. Yeah.
But you speak more French than English.
Yeah, I speak more French. That's like the main language you speak in Montreal, and which I grew up speaking. But I mean, I always spoke Spanish at home, I've been speaking English since I was a kid too.
And as a Canadian Peruano in Mexico, I'm sure you've had maybe some interesting interactions where you're like, "No, soy canadiense, pero soy peruano," and you
Yeah,
got to you've probably got your story down at this point.
yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, sometimes I spin it off in differently. Depends on the context. Sometimes I can just pass off as Mexican. I'm like, no, I'm just Mexican. People will assume I'm Mexican. But yeah, I mean, people definitely are curious when I say, you're a Canadian? What? They don't expect it, but then they talk to me and they're like, okay, you're not Peruvian. Clearly, you didn't grow up in Peru.
They can tell you didn't grow up in Peru.
Yeah, they can tell.
Why is that?
I don't know. I guess it's maybe because I'm not that used to like third world things sometimes, So it shows that they would see I'm a bit of like a first world person. So they're like, okay, so you didn't grow up in Peru. You're not like Mexicans, like Peruvians. You're more like Canadians. So yeah, and I guess that's when people get to know me. When they see me, they'll just assume I'm Mexican or South American.
Hmm. And does it work the other way as well when you meet Quebecers or people from France or something, and you start speaking French and they're confused for a sec?
Yeah, for sure. That has happened too. That's quite fun, when that happens. Sometimes I'll even pretend. At first, I wouldn't say nothing. I'll just like, but then I'll just say it. So yeah, it's fun to play with that. People not knowing exactly where I'm from or what's my background.
That's cool. I got to introduce you to Arnaud. I'm not sure if you know him. He has a VC newsletter in Mexico. His handle on Twitter is, this will be hard to spell, but Senus Latam. So Cenius Latam, and he has a newsletter and brand around startups and venture capital in Latin America with a focus on Mexico. So he's in Mexico City currently. He's going to Tech Week next week in Mexico. I just recorded a podcast with him. Um, are you going to Tech Week, by the way, or are you still in Peru?
Yeah, I'm coming back exactly for that. So I'm gonna be actually speaking I'm gonna be speaker at a Tuesday event at La Casa de Satoshi, which is a new Bitcoin co-working space.
Hmm.
It's I think it's called like Bitcoin FinTech in Mexico or something like that. So yeah, yeah. But I heard about it. No, I think I followed him on Twitter, or at least I saw him on Twitter.
Hmm.
And yeah, if you could introduce us, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, he's from France. He's got a very strong French accent.
Nice.
But yeah, I think it's pretty connected in and could probably facilitate, getting some intros to venture capitalists and stuff when the time comes for that.
That's awesome.
And then you know who else just booked a podcast with me? Who you must also know is Francisco from Yopaki
Yeah, of course, I know Francisco. We're good friends actually.
Chavarria.
Yeah, that's
What
right.
what should I ask him about?
I don't know. I mean, I think his. You can ask him about Bitcoin, about his story, about his product. I guess Yopaki is doing something similar as Swapido too. You know his product. Uh, but yeah, I think they have something interesting going on too. I support what they do. I support every Bitcoin project in Mexico. You know, but yeah, it's I guess it's something similar to Swapido.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm recording with him in the next week at some point. Maybe you'll have to come down from the mountains and come to Tech Week.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I'm going to an event on Tuesday, Friday, as well. There's a lot of Bitcoin stuff going on. A lot of people in town for that. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Nice. And then you know who else I just recorded a podcast with? It's already out. It came out like a week ago. Is with Paco de la India.
Ah, yeah. How did you get to Paco?
Yeah, we got him on. I mean, I think I was trying to get him on for a long time, and he finally kind of slowed down. He's like chilling in India, I think, right now, kind of figuring out his next move. And I was kind of preparing for the podcast episode and checked out his YouTube episode, and then I saw it was like you and him in the back of an Uber in Querétaro or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. So Paco came. Paco is, for those that don't know it, is a guy that goes around the world using Bitcoin only. I think he's gone to over 40 countries now, and that was his goal to go to 40 countries using Bitcoin. And he came to Mexico, and he didn't know many people, so we had him back when I lived in Querétaro. We had him at our place for a couple nights, but then we actually went on a tour with him. We went to Guadalajara, Puebla. Then Maciek, our friend Maciek, went to Vallarta with him and Tulum. So yeah, it was. He's a good friend of mine, Paco. So I'm gonna listen to that podcast. He's really funny.
And that'd be a good affiliate sponsor, right? Get Paco using Swapido.
Yeah, of course. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I'm sure Paco would be good for that.
Awesome. Yeah. What else? What else? Did I ask all the right questions about Swapido? Is there other information about it that you would want to share?
Yeah, well, I guess another thing that I wanted to share is Swapido is we're gonna launch like a business offering so that such as I had already mentioned, an affiliate marketing program where you can like sign up as an affiliate and get like for all the users you bring, you get a very decent a percentage of the commissions we make. So that's gonna be really cool soon. Also an API. So like let's say if you're a wallet and you want to integrate Swapido, we're gonna make that possible too. All of those things are coming up, and I guess besides that, you know, if anybody wants to meet me, I'm in Mexico City. I go to all the Bitcoin events. I try to speak at most of them. So just come to say hi, DM me. I'm always open, like I said, to discussions, to new projects, whatever. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Awesome. I see that. In Latin America, where do you think the biggest Bitcoin hub is? Is it Mexico or is it El Salvador or somewhere else?
That's a good question. I would say I think the biggest one I've seen is Costa Rica. Okay, so if you
Really?
go to this place called Uvita, it's like
Hmm.
6 hours from and on the south on the Pacific coast, 6 hours from San Jose. You get to Uvita, maybe 4 or 5 hours, and this is like a surf town where
Hmm.
many Bitcoin expats are present, and they call it Bitcoin Jungle.
Hmm.
And there they have over like 400 businesses that accept Bitcoin directly, and so you can pay with Bitcoin everywhere in that town. That's one big adoption one I've seen. El Salvador is pretty cool too, but I guess it's a little bit less than that. And I hear Peru has some things going on. It all depends. It's all relative to what we mean. The country with the highest adoption and percentage, it's like Argentina, I think. But if you want to go to a town where everyone accepts Bitcoin, that's Costa Rica or El Salvador. But if you're talking about like poor people using Bitcoin, not just tourists spending in Bitcoin, well, I think that's like Peru. I think they use like Bitcoin in like very small villages in Peru
Really?
to like transact between them. Yeah, like yeah, there's just so many stuff going on that people are not aware of, and I sometimes myself I'm quite surprised at finding.
Hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called Motive NGO. It's like I think they have like over 400 communities in Peru where they use Bitcoin.
Hmm. I have another buddy that he has a company called Osmo Wallet in Central America that started in Guatemala, and they've now expanded into Costa Rica and maybe some of the other Central American countries there. Um, and if you were to expand to Central America, maybe you should hit him up and see if you could like integrate with Osmo somehow.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. I mean, I know about Osmo for sure. It's pretty good. It's very similar to Swapido, I would say, but in Guatemala and other places. Yeah, that's a good one. I heard about that one. There's a few like that. We're not. I'm not gonna say Swapido is the only project like this in the world. I think in Mexico we're the fastest and the most convenient.
Hmm.
But yeah, Osmo is a good one in Guatemala.
And is the plan to, I think you mentioned, to expand to other stable coins as well, not just Bitcoin?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a big believer in stable coins. I used to be more of a Bitcoin maxi that was like, no, just Bitcoin. But nowadays I'm more realist, and I understand that stable coins are a big part of the future. So I would say Tether, USDT, and USDC are the biggest ones, and Tron and Ethereum are like the main networks to use them on. So yeah, we are definitely looking into integrating that because that's what people are interested in. So we don't want to be dogmatic, although we do have our beliefs that Bitcoin is the best money, but we're not going to be ideological about our business. We just follow what people are using, and that's stable coins.
Okay, for sure. So as of right now, if I want to use Swapido and I want to get some crypto into a Mexican bank account, just exchange everything for Bitcoin, and then from Bitcoin to the bank account with the clave
Yeah, yeah, and specifically Bitcoin on the Lightning Network. So
on the Lightning.
download a wallet that has Lightning Network, or an exchange that has Lightning Network, which at this point, you can have your money on Binance and you can send it from Binance to Swapido because Binance has Lightning Network. So if you have an exchange, it's Binance, Coinbase, OKEx, Kraken. Any big exchange has it. And if you use a wallet, I would recommend Phoenix Wallet, or Wallet of Satoshi is a good one too. So if you use those wallets, you send Bitcoin to it, and then you can, with the Lightning Wallet and Swapido together, you can pay with Bitcoin for anything in Mexico.
Okay. And Phoenix is Phenix or Phoe? Phoenix wallets.
Phoenix.
So that's kind of the one you recommend people have.
Yeah, that's the best wallet. I would say that everyone's recommended that one lately.
Okay, cool. So I'll have to sell all my Bitcoin Cash.
You still have Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah, I do actually. I still have Bitcoin Cash. I think it's up.
Uh, yeah, it might be up on the month. It's down over like 90% over the last 10 years, over
What's
the
that?
6 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's my BCH at? I think I'm up. I have to be up because I got it for less than 300.
Ah, okay, well, yeah. In that case, sure. But when it came out, it was like over $1,000.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then when it went down to like 280, I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy some.
Ah, well, that makes more sense. Okay, I thought you had them from back when it was high.
I'm just kind of trolling you though because I know Bitcoin people hate hearing about Bitcoin Cash.
Honestly, at this point, I don't mind because it's so down over the long term that I kind of feel bad about
Dude, it went
about
up to
that.
like $500 earlier in the year, or even higher. It went to 520, and I forgot to sell.
You could have sold it.
No, it went above that. It went to like 700 actually.
Oh,
So I'm still
yeah.
waiting. I'm still waiting for my day. Anyway, okay, cool, man. So Swapido is the website, and that's where we want to go because it's a web app.
Yeah, Swapido.com. There's a landing page you're gonna find all the info about Swapido. Then you click on sign up. It will take you to app.swapido.com,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. That's where the rest happens.
App.swapido.com. Okay. So we're gonna get KYC'd. Can I use my Palau ID?
Yeah, you can use your Palau ID.
Cool. Because you're approving it, right? It's gonna be manually,
Yeah, yeah,
sort
I'm
of.
approving it. So yeah, you can definitely use your Palau ID.
Okay, awesome. So if anyone's having KYC issues, just DM Gustavo. He'll get you. He'll get you in.
Yeah, I mean, we have our, as long as it respects our terms of service, our privacy policy, we'll accommodate you. Of course, we're not recommending anybody to circumvent our terms of service or
I'm gonna get
anything
a
like
I'm
that.
gonna get a fake ID in Tepito with a fake name,
No,
and
that doesn't work.
you're gonna let me in.
No, that doesn't work.
Okay, Palau
Have you
ID is
ever
chill though.
gotten? You know anybody that does that in Tepito?
I think it's pretty easy to find a guy.
Yeah, okay, I wouldn't know about that.
Okay, Palau ID works. You heard it here first.
Yeah, but you also need a proof of address, So let's say if so you're gonna have to put your ID, so you can put the Palau ID. But then if you live in Mexico, then you put your electricity bill, and
Uh
that's
huh.
it.
Yeah, easy. Quick hack for people. I imagine the electricity bill doesn't have to have your name on it. It just needs to be an electricity bill.
Yeah, that's the thing about Mexico. It's like nobody has their name on their electricity bill. So Mexico is like one of the few countries where the proof of address doesn't need your name on it because nobody has it, which is kind of dumb, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So just literally any electricity bill, Palau ID, we're in.
Yeah, but I'm not. Our terms of service says that our proof of address you put is the address you live in. So that's
No,
it.
I get it. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, I know, I
Uh,
know.
cool. No, no. This all sounds really good and sounds like a pretty simple, straightforward solution.
Well, that's what I hope I'm building. That's what I put all my efforts to, and that's what people have been saying. So I'm quite happy with the launch.
Awesome. I like the name too. I think Swapido is a good name.
Yeah, thank you. It took us a long time to get to it. Names are the thing where like you think like it's not that important, but it is. And once you're looking for one, you just have to wait for the inspiration to come. Forcing it won't work. But this
Uh-huh.
one came. Swap plus rapido, swapido.
No, yeah, I think it's a great name.
Thank you.
Awesome. So there'll be a link in the description for the website. waiting on my affiliate code, but in the meantime, just go to
Don't worry,
the
you'll be the first to get it.
no, it's all good. And I want to try it out too. So I think it's awesome.
Awesome,
Uh,
thank you.
cool, man. Anything else you want to add as we get to wrapping up here?
Just to say that if you want to follow us on Twitter at Swapido BTC, you can just stay updated with our news. We're gonna have a lot of we're gonna be in a lot of events in Mexico City. We're gonna do a lot of we post a lot of content as well and many updates upcoming. So Swapido BTC on Twitter.
Awesome. Well, this has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Again, our guest today, Gustavo Flores from Swapido. And for the audience, wherever you're listening to this, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast player, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We put out 2 episodes a week with amazing guests like Gustavo, and you won't want to miss an episode. Ciao for now. Hey guys, quick note at the end of the episode here. If you made it this far, you might be interested in working with My Latin Life personally to make progress on your internationalization plan. So whether the next step for you is getting residency in Latin America, lowering your taxes, choosing the best country, maybe a little birth tourism, whatever the next step is for you, of course, My Latin Life can help. We've helped people in their 20s, their 40s, their 60s, because I truly believe that Latin America has something to offer people at every stage of life. So if you want to become our VIP client, if you want to work with Vance, myself directly, book a call. There will be a link in the description. There will be a small fee for the initial consultation, and we do that to filter out the time wasters and focus on the best of the best clients. But if you're listening to this podcast and you made it all the way through the episode, I know you're the best of the best. But we're ready to work with you. So book that call. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the My Latin Life podcast, and we'll catch you in the next one.